halfway split. No, sorry, that's not the halfway mark. That's coming off the bridge.
Once they get over the bridge, Paul, so they get 20k with you.
I know, I'm getting a bit ahead. It's around the corner. It's around the corner, yeah.
So this is the chase group. What a good run so far from Wendy Gebrselassie. I mean, we have seen him go out. He ran 2:12 recently, and I think that was a real confidence booster for him. He's in great form. He's been running well for the last 12 months.
So the elite men obviously approaching Tower Bridge.
Maybe a mile or two back. Looking for his strength. Got it. But he looks tired.
He does. It is a little bit of a pull as well, as you can see from that long shot.
It's a London Marathon, 26.2 miles, 42 kilometers, starting from Greenwich to Buckingham Palace. And so the disabled men and women have completed the race. And so we're looking out to the elite men and women. And then the thousands of people participating to raise funds for good causes, especially cancer research. So yeah, a lot of the attention at the moment on Tower Bridge.
Tower Bridge with the familiar pacemakers, Mark Scott and Andy Butchart doing a good job here. Wendy Gebrselassie follows, so just going to have to smart here. I just wonder whether one of the guys might, they've got a job to do for Robinson and Goddard. I just wonder whether one of them might drop back and realise that Gebrselassie maybe just going through a bit of a patch here and try and help.
There we go with the pace, last mile, 4:42. So it's warming up, isn't it? It's definitely warming up from an already quick pace. It's lifted a little bit more still. Bekele is the one who's keen to keep the pacemakers moving on, and Neil Carras is doing a great job in sticking with this. I'm not sure how much further he's going to go there. He's getting some indication from Ngogo pace number 2 on his vest, and yeah, there we see Neil Carras done a good job pacing that group, and now it's down to one at the front and one who will keep company anybody who drops off this main group now.
I'm enjoying seeing Kenenisa Bekele at the front dictating matters. Yeah, meanwhile back in Greenwich Park, the next group ready to go, the next wave. So many costumes. I was watching a piece, there's Big Ben out there again, isn't there? British Heart Foundation, the charity that is the official charity of the London Marathon this year. Does anyone know anyone called Matt? So Cuddy Sark will be pretty much filled now. I mean, gradually the whole route will be filled from the elite men heading them towards the finish, but it'll back up behind them, and these scenes will be repeated all the way down the course. Great crowds at Cuddy Sark. One of the reasons is you can get back over onto the other side of the river as well if you do get a chance to spot your loved one. You can get over and see them sometime later in the race. Around about 18 miles, 17, 18 miles thereabouts. Crossing points are, you see the operation there. They take people into the middle, and then eventually they'll move the runners on the other side of the road and allow those to cross on the other section. Never ever fails to inspire, does it, to see so many people with all of their own reasons to come and take part. For some the first time, some have been here on so many occasions. Come from all around the world, all around the UK, to come and enjoy this unique atmosphere, this unique event. So as we just watch All of these great runners coming through, and the inevitable Rhino. We can now have a little look at what's going on at the front with the elite women. It's been interesting, this race. It really hasn't sort of set fire. It's quick, it's fast. The women in this group are still running close to their personal best. But these are all looking now, all 7 of them, thinking about winning this. Jocelyn Jepkowski, for the first time, really, the champion from last year. And it was at 22 miles last year where she broke away. And look at that, 5:38 mile. That's a slow mile. Given what they were doing earlier on, and that's because they're gathering, the time's slipping now, they're forgetting about the time, they're now thinking about how to win the race.
Absolutely, this is now a race, and that's why I think you see Jocelyn Jepkowski make her way to the front, just to make her presence known. Okay, I kept quiet at the back all the time the pace was pushing. Now I'm still here, I'm still okay, I'm another one that needs to be factored into that thinking, and that's why we're seeing the slowing. These women now are trying to assess and reevaluate a little bit the race plan in their heads, which had been Yewhualaw going out so fast and then essentially holding on.
And a ball there, that was Yewhualaw. It was one of those sleeping policemen, the humps in the road that we've talked about. She just fell on just as you were talking.
It may also have been a slip on the blue bike marker that you see. Jepkowski was running with water and she tipped a bit down herself. And I just wonder if that wet that surface a little bit. And Yewhualaw's running at the back, so she had no idea that was happening. And that may have been what happened there. She was up and running again very quickly. We'll get an indication if we get a look at her running form, if she hit the ground hard enough to do any damage. The best thing to do, of course, is get up and run again as quickly as possible. That's usually the advice for a twisted ankle rather than hitting yourself on the floor.
Let's just have a look here. She's right at the back. I think she just didn't see it fall. I don't think it's
no, it's one of the bumps. You're right.
It's one of the bumps right in the middle of the road, and I don't think she saw it. She was in the gap, sorry, in the group there at the back. Anyway, back up and running, and straight back on the back of the pack. So Magerto, her teammate, had a little look to check she was okay. She was. So we've got 7 women here. Big gap to Mary Ngugi is chasing with best part of 2 minutes, and these 7 women, as I said, are I think starting to forget about any women's only world records. Yewhualaw must have decided, no, that's not going to happen for me today. In fact, she's probably not even going to run as quick as she did in her debut marathon if they continue to stay slow through this section. And I just wonder whether Jepkowski is going to replay in her head what happened last year. There was a group for such a long time last year. She was the one who gradually broke it up, because they were all waiting for Bridget Kosgei, weren't they, last year, to do something. Didn't do anything, and it was Jepkowski who took it on.
And it's an interesting factor, I think, when they come in with such a big pre-race favourite, and there's been a lot of talk about how fast it's going to go, or when you're racing the world record holder in Bridget Kosgei, you have to have your own plan in place as well, and you have to trust your instincts. And that's what Jocelyn Jepkowski is actually very good at. So she kicked it, about 22 miles last year. She felt like that was the time to go for her. She tuned into that instinct, and it turned out to serve her very well in the end. So these women have to be capable and in shape to run very fast times, but they also have to be able to race, and to race cleverly with what their body is capable of doing on the day. And that's why I think we're seeing a gathering now, because they're all reassessing, okay, what would be in my best interest now? When would be the best time for me to attack? Am I going to wait and leave it really late, or am I going to try and throw in surges? And we'll probably see a number of surges. Korea, it looks as though now, is starting to try and lift the pace a little bit. And she may work together with Jepkowski, because as you mentioned earlier, they do get on very well.
This is Mary Ngugi, who's best part of 2 minutes behind. She's still running strongly enough, but by her own race plan, which was to try and run well under 2:20, she's slipped out that sort of time. The women at the front have slowed, but Mary has slowed as well. So despite catching Gebra Kidan, not able to make any inroads into the lead group here. So these 7 with the the world silver medalist Judith Korea alongside the winner from last year, Jocelyn Jepkowski, the 2 Kenyans now dictating matters. Well, we've still got good pace being set, or decent pace, sub 2.5 pace being set. For the first time, Bashir Abdi a little closer to the front, and Kenenisa Bekele. You and I were talking beforehand, we were like, if Kenny still at 25k, and we're approaching that, just we're hoping that maybe he could stay involved, but looks a little under pressure at this point. Kenenisa Bekele, Bashir Abdi and Kipruto, the two men who I think most thought would be perhaps the two to really dictate matters here. Well, they're looking good, as is Gebre Selassie, just on the heels, almost clipping the heels of the pacemaker here.
Just a little bit of info, they did end up going through halfway in 62.14, so about 30 seconds down on the pace that had been talked about pre-race, but certainly panning into a very good race now, and I'm sure we're going to see a big negative split in this men's race here today.
Yeah, it's set up for that, isn't it? You know, and I think there's enough talent, enough ability for that to happen. 62.14. It's still pretty quick through halfway, so even if it wasn't a negative split, we'd still be going the 2-4 range, which isn't bad at all. And this is Wayne Gebre Selassie, which is great to see. He's just got a runner there, Brett Robinson, to tag on to with a pacemaker as well. We don't have Butchart or KRS anymore. I think they've stopped, which was expected. But if Gebre Selassie can get through this period of the race, that'll be great for him. So we've just lost Joan Melli, who's just dropped off that lead group. The Romanian, former Kenyan, now running for Romania, is now 15, 20 metres off the back. So perhaps Korea and Jack Koskai, like last year, sensing with around 4 miles to go thereabouts, that now is the time to push it. Bekele dropping off as well. She looked as though she was going to drop a little while back until they slowed. So they're going to have to work hard to keep going in these the last 10k or more, but now the race is on, you feel, at the front.
Definitely, yeah, and this is what we expected to see come into play. Perhaps a little earlier, more women dropping off from this lead group, but finally the work is starting to pay off for Judith Correa and Jocelyn Jack-Koskai, who picked up the pace, tried to work together a little bit, and each time you sense or you hear that somebody is dropping away from the back, that is encouraging when you're at the front. Eyes focused, as Jocelyn Jack-Koskai and Judith Correa are, in terms of trying to break this group and work away a little bit. And you see Kipruto, she's struggling and moving across the side of the road just to get a little bit out of eyeshot. She may be the next person to go, so I guess they're hoping Yewhualaw will be one of those that drops off, but for the moment she seems to have recovered okay from that slip and is settled into the slipstream that will get up to her, and Korea behind, and you can see that Korea not too happy with how close they are running to her. The Ethiopian runners in general, of course, spend a lot of time running on single file trails through the forests high up above Addis Ababa, and that's why very often in races you will see them just slot in behind and kind of relax into that zone of just focusing on the feet of the runner in front of you. In that overhead shot, you see how quickly they do drop off. Once you can't stay with it anymore, these women are dropping quickly off back down the road in terms of pace, so perhaps they can work together there, but I'm not sure, and this is where it starts to come into play for Marion Gugi, if she can start to see the runners up the road ahead of her, and can she start to reel some of those in.
Yeah, they're all starting to fall away, but she's actually through 30k points. It'd be interesting to see 35 whether or not she'd caught up any ground, but it's about the women at the front here trying to push this on. And for Jack Koskai, I think she's looking really comfortable. And remember that Judith Correa was not meant to be running the marathon here. She was meant to be pacemaking. And actually in the press conference on Wednesday, she looked as though she wasn't too happy about that. You know, she kind of said, I haven't prepared for a full marathon. But you had to be in shape. And I think she was going to run a marathon later in the autumn. So training must have been going well enough. And with one or two of the other dropouts, like Bridget Koskai dropped out a couple of weeks ago, so Korea was brought in, asked to continue, and she's doing a brilliant job. So the world silver medalist, leading with last year's winner Jack Koskai. Now it's down to 4, Yewhualaw and Lagertu, the two Ethiopians hanging on The others are dropping away.
So I made that 5K 16:38. So they've slowed in those subsequent 5Ks coming off Tower Bridge from 16:04, 16:23, 16:38, which given that the screw was being turned in Korea and Jepkosko were trying to do damage and have succeeded in doing damage to.
So the women's elite, it seems they've gone past the 35k mark, so we've got roughly another 10k, 12k to go, and it will be quite interesting. Lady in the Nike, in the white top, Nike sort of singlet, the red pants, she had a fall. She got up and continued, and she seems to be the person that I am personally looking out for to win this women's elite. So it will be quite interesting, the outcome. But yeah, once again, remember to hit that subscribe button. Once again, to get that opportunity to see these great events in London online with people who don't have access to British TV. We also have here the men's elite group with the 2 pacemakers in the group, totally dominated by Ethiopians. And so once again, one can only assume that one of the Ethiopians might go on to win the men's elite.
Still there, and for me looking better and better as this race.
11th place. It wasn't too far behind. We're not really seeing him. We've got so many cameras, but Phil Sessman isn't too far behind. And he's currently running sub 2:10 pace as well.
And he's in a pack as well. He's running with Yewhualaw of France, who's actually making his debut. So European steeplechase champion back in 2014. He's moving up to the marathon and he's running together with Phil Sessman. So that's great. More people streaming through here.
Yeah, Cody Stark, such a favourite place for the spectators, and it gives everybody a lift as they come through. The spectators hope they stay, and their job is a tough one as well. You know, you've got to bring your flasks and your sandwiches and plan where you're going to watch. You're going to be out there for a good few hours. Hope they manage to do that and cheer as many people on as they can. Thankfully, the weather has stayed pretty good. And you can see there the pace is 3:45 for this pace. There'll be a different pace with each of the waves. They've kind of tried to break them up a little bit in terms of what they expect them to do.
15 minutes of running to go in this race now, and you can see Jocelyn Jepkosko has had to make that decision. The decision essentially has been made for her because she hasn't been able to stick with the surge in pace, and she's still running strong.
So this is the young lady that had a fall, and yes, I kind of sense that she might be the one to take the gold. And so we've got probably another maybe 2.8 miles to go, less than 5k. So we shall see down the embankment. Yes. The young lady is really put on the charge. She is really charging forward to finishing this race.
It was measured short, 54 meters short, sadly for her. But she then this year ran the fastest ever debut marathon, 2:17:23 when she won in Hamburg. She's a kind of jumped straight to the marathon in road racing, hasn't she? Richard Naroka, one of our top marathon runners who still spent a lot of time in Ethiopia, knows the road well. Was
using that now, and that look of concentration
Wow,
on her face has changed a little bit. There's certainly more focus in it now, I think.
Young lady is just awesome. To take gold in the women's elite of London Marathon 2022. Looking forward to her winning. She looks good. And, seems to have a great deal of energy. So again, remember to hit that subscribe button to catch these major events in London. Look at the concentration and that's confidence in this young lady in a sort of relatively safe position at this moment.
Olympic bronze medalist, the world bronze medalist, coached by Yewhualaw, trains with Mo Farah. And then we've got Kipruto, just a Kenyan, who they'll all be hoping he can fly the flag for them because they don't really have anybody else in the race this year after recent withdrawals. This is his first ever London Marathon, so maybe he's going to be patient and wait and see. Perhaps we'll not see him commit. He doesn't know the course so well, doesn't know the last few miles. Is still there as well, who is another 2-3 runner. His first London Marathon just took him behind.
Willing to take on the lead. I guess it for the moment. Kipruto was also fairly quick to get himself up there.
So at this stage, all the men's pacemakers have dropped out, and the real race really begins from here. Lots of Ethiopians. We're also looking forward to the female elite runners completing. So we'll try to hopefully capture both the finish for the men and the women's elite runners. That's the top runner. Absolutely amazing. Good pace, good strength, concentration. She seems to be in a very safe zone, considering that she had a fall. So absolutely amazing. Her style of running is just beautiful. Very beautiful, very strong and very determined. So remember to hit that subscribe button.
I feel good, and just trying to push things on. Kipruto immediately follows.
There we go. As the pace hops up, a little bit of sunshine coming out. For the first time, there are shadows from the men across the roads, and sun breaking through certainly here on the Mall, and temperatures warming up a little bit as Selassie definitely threw in a surge there now, but seems to have settled down again to see if anybody else wants to take it up and maintain it. No, they're just spread across the road.
So as we leave the men, Yewhualaw has come into Parliament Squares through there. Big Ben now behind her, watching over the winner.
Yewhualaw being the almost undisputed winner for this London Marathon 2022. Awesome.
And to still be able to come away with a victory and finishing as strongly as she is. I think she's underlining that she might not be regaining that Ethiopian record. She might not be taking the women's world record, but she still is absolutely a racer to be reckoned with, as is Jocelyn Jankowska, who came in with question marks. She was only 7th in Boston early.
From Ethiopia, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of her in coming years. Who knows at the major championships as well, because Ethiopia will want to find somebody who can lift the gold medals as well as the big city majors. I think at one point she was going to race in China for her next marathon after a race in Hamburg, but she then was, as you'd expect, persuaded that London is the place you want to be. This is where all the best runners come. This is where the world's greatest have come and won, and she has got a lot to do in her career yet, but this is a great start in a World
From
Marathon
Ethiopia,
major career for
23-year-old.
Yewhualaw of Ethiopia.
Yes.
Long way ahead now as she comes in front of Buckingham Palace and then will turn into the mile. She's never been down this road before.
So Yewhualaw
This may be a path that she's going to tread many times coming up in the years ahead in her career.
entered Buckingham Palace, cruising top pace to the finish line. 23-year-old Ethiopian Yewhualaw. Her name apparently translates to edge of the world, so she definitely is.
Which would be a shame. I don't think she's going to mind about that. She's the champion in London in 2022. Yewhualaw is the winner. Great performance. We'll get the official time. Maybe just missed her personal best by 2 or 3 seconds. But that won't matter to her. It was the victory which was the most important thing. And when she made that move with about 4 miles to go, it was a decisive move. And Kipruto did well. It was at that point last year that she managed to pull away from everybody else, but not this time. Yewhualaw just too good. You have to say that Kipruto has put up an excellent defence. And she will run her second fastest marathon, finishing second
This
place.
young lady takes the silver medal, London Marathon. I think for the last time she was first, but this time she takes silver. Brilliant. And then we've got a bronze medalist coming in.
2:18:51 before she came into this. That was set last year. Actually, no, it's Seville this year, excuse me. So new personal best for her third in London.
We've got the gold, silver and bronze, and the 4th position. She looks quite pleased. So brilliant. We'll try to capture the men's finish as well. So remember to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel for all these major events in London and Britain. So she just looks so beautiful, even after all this run. It's an aerial view of London.
And then pace for both of them has just slipped outside 2:10, or the predicted pace for both of them. So Great Britain
One
with
of
athletes in 9th and 10th.
Brit elite runner.
Looking as though you could hang on to be the first British athlete home, but can Phil Sessamon find a little bit extra in the last few miles to do what he did last year? At the moment,
Be aiming to try and whittle that down even more, and perhaps by trading turns at the front, you can see Kipruto urging someone round. I think he's going to say
Just under 5k to go. This is a really tight race for the men. You have at least about 5 men, and I can see that in the final rounds these guys are going to battle it out on the mile just to try to take the gold, silver, bronze. Remember to hit that subscribe button. This is there for an opportunity for those who don't have access to British TV to be able to see this online across the world. So wonderful. I look forward to this finish. This is really open, all out in the open, but I think Ethiopia, based on probabilities, are putting themselves in a position to probably take the gold. That's the elite men's race now, really charging up.
you can see Amos thinking, should I just back off now? I'm not going to hang on to that. I've got to be sensible here. But Kipruto is flying.
It's decision time for those following, and you have to make that decision really quickly. Already the last mile was 4:36. And
Great hero, Elliot
This
Kipchoge,
guy
home in
is,
Tokyo earlier on in the year when he ran his
broken
first
off in the
event. He was
lead,
a long
so
way,
hopefully
quite a way behind
we'll see
Kipchoge
him
on that
at
occasion. Goodness me, he's looked so
Buckingham
strong
Palace.
here, realising
Wow,
what he was
Yes,
capable
look at
of
that
and just judging
speed.
it right. That's what you have to do. You just have to
to finish off
use
the
your head in
26.2 mile run.
It's your day,
42
it's your day.
thereabout kilometers,
Kipruto looks
finishing
strong, he looks fast.
like
Although
he's
we're not
running
heading for any
400
records
meters.
here today,
Shocking,
he is somebody who
shocking, very bold.
produced the right route. And that's a pretty good lead he's got now. There's a really good scrap going on for second, third and fourth behind him, and that's what it is though. It's a race for second, third and perhaps
Yeah, so Kipruto, surprisingly from Kenya,
will be enjoying these
my
moments,
God,
perhaps the biggest of his career. So much so
going
that
for the
he managed
finish
a bit
of
a
the
wave.
men's
He got
elite
over about the
runners.
clock here.
He
has run
is
quicker.
just
He runs
awesome.
the best set in Tokyo earlier this year, but this is his moment. This is his day. This biggest win of his career, the world bronze medalist from 2019, becomes the London Marathon champion
At
of
2.04, he's done it.
Great performance
Awesome.
from Amos Kipruto.
Awesome,
Looked so good for so long.
awesome.
And when he made the move,
So he beat the 2:05 Kipruto. Surprisingly, there were so many Ethiopians, and I would have bet my top dollar, Selassie also coming, that it was going to be an Ethiopian. But wow, Kenya, awesome, awesome.
really good performance, managing to hold off Bashir Abdi. So he takes second place. Lil Gebrselassie, congratulations to him. And then Abdi third in a big race again. His two other thirds have been in the Worlds and the Olympic Games. So Atano hangs on for fourth place. And I think this is going to be Kenenisa Bekele who's going to come in next in fifth place. So another good performance. Don't forget Kenenisa Bekele, despite being one of the greatest of all time, he's 40 now. And to still be running at this level, he's going to run under 2 hours and 6. Great to see him here in London. That's a solid run from Kenenisa Bekele. He comes in fifth place. And I think this will be the guess.
The men's elite was so highly competitive.
Congratulations, teammate. Congratulations to Bashir Abdi.
Remember to hit that subscribe button for more of these major events in London. Awesome.
The first of the British athletes to come through. I can tell you that the gap between them, all the way at 40k, was still about the same, about 30 seconds. So I think Gebrselassie is definitely, Wayne Gebrselassie, just not to confuse the two, will have enough to hang on to be the first.